baseball lifestyle. It's my lifestyle.
Stuff out. Re-intro.
Yes, I did get that on video and recording.
Good. I'm glad. Ready?
Just go.
3, 2, 1. Welcome back to the Ground 2, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Josh Gerson, along with my co-host.
Bill Ron, what up, guys?
After some technical difficulties that you guys maybe didn't see or you did see, I'm not sure. We are back and ready to rock and roll. Before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe. Toss us a review. Share it with your friends. Let somebody know to watch this cool podcast. The Olympics started today. That's exciting.
They did.
Baseball's not in it, but it's fine.
Baseball doesn't
Snowboarding
need
is
to be in the Winter
exciting.
Olympics. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good.
Snowball throwing.
Yeah. So that's cool. Shohei Ohtani is the cover athlete of MLB The Show.
Right move. Obviously, superstar, first talked about here on this podcast before anywhere else.
Yep.
That he was going to be the best player in the league last year, potentially going to have a legendary season. Did do it. We predicted it. It's dope. It's dope.
Yeah.
How they introed it was dope. Everything else was dope. But the dopest part of the entire thing is the alternative cover that they did. So I'm a huge manga anime fan.
Mm-hmm.
So the cover was done by Takashi Okazaki. He is the artist for Afro Samurai. Afro Samurai is dope. If you guys have never watched it, you should get into it. He killed it. He's a big Ohtani fan, and he had done some stuff for the video game that Sony's done in the past for Afro Samurai. So it was an easy hey, let's work together on this cover.
Yeah.
Cover art's super dope. Got the baseball bat where a samurai sword would be, and the fire all around him, and just super, super cool. Awesome work by the MLB The Show to tie in other pop culture that also will just, I think, is going to sell like crazy.
Yep.
I mean, I'm going to get it as a poster for The Office because I think it's
So
all
gangster.
of the gas.
Now, did that artist also put together his like the video aspect of it?
I doubt that he did
Okay.
but if I didn't see the animation that came with it, I've only seen the cover
What?
art. I didn't want to do it before, I wanted to be able to sit down to watch it all, and I hadn't had time.
Oh my God!
Do you want to watch it? Have me watch
it. I think you should watch it while we're on this podcast. That's why I thought. Okay, so you've only seen the cover.
I've only seen the cover.
Oh, so you have no idea.
I thought he did the cover art.
Oh, it's absolutely electric.
Oh wow.
It is so sick. Okay, cool. So we'll see if we can get this put in on the video version, guys. If you haven't watched it, pause the podcast and go watch the announcement for the alternate cover. It is absolutely epic. Bill's beginning to watch it right now. Wow. I need you to narrate. Let him know your feelings, thoughts, etc.
Okay, Ohtani on two different sides of a wall. One side he is a pitcher, one side he is a hitter.
Dennis is getting up to go watch it.
I haven't seen it.
Absolutely epic.
Playing up on his dual roles. Now
Yep.
he's on fire. The ball is on fire. He's chucking it. His bat's on fire. He's also hitting it. Then they flip back to him in real life. Woo! So the backside of the cover is actually dope. Based off the artistic styles of, so you can see the backside
Yeah, what do you got?
of
Oh, word.
I actually think that they did
That's tight.
a fantastic
Is it gonna
job.
be? Oh, so it's probably gonna be like one of like a metal cover or something,
Yes.
right? Oh, that's sick.
And then obviously got
Oh, it's so epic.
the front side
Right.
of this. So again, I would say that based off the two different artistic designs, I don't think that he did the animation for it. I could be wrong,
Okay.
but the animation looks much different than.
But the concept is obviously
Right. I mean,
connected,
for the release of what it was going to be. But no, I would say that he didn't then animate it. At least it doesn't look like. And if he did animate it, he was going quick because his artistic designs and some of the things that he does from a drawing side, like his artistic look, to give reference is just much more dynamic than that. But I mean, I think the cover is incredible. I think that they did an amazing job. Super, super cool. Way to tie in a whole bunch of different things in there. Yeah, man, fun. Just more fun. MLB having fun. Doing stuff like this is the things that make sense. You know, the NFL does a lot of stuff with Marvel to make their football players into superheroes.
Yep.
There's a lot of like you can get like a Saquon Barkley like superhero doll, like all that stuff is cool. Seeing this again, cool to tie in the culture, right? Like let's be real, like there are animes and there are mangas and stuff that are about baseball players. Baseball is huge in Japan.
Right.
They make it like, I'm going to turn it up and gasses up a fastball and it comes in and is looping different ways and all of the things that you think about of a fighting anime, they just relate it into a sport. So cool to see them like tie both those things together, bring the whole thing around. I have to think that the physical copy of this outsells every physical copy that's ever happened. I'm going to put a small, I'll wager on this one.
Okay.
I got $20 that says more physical copies of this edition sell than it has sold since you could start to stream.
Yeah, I think this definitely feels like more the first game in a while anyway, where I look at it, it's like this is a collector piece. Like
Yes.
I want to have the physical
Yes.
game. I want the anime version. I want to have that on my shelf and
Yes.
just be there.
I'm definitely like, I would say I'm going to buy the physical version, even
Me
if I
too.
have a download code for
Yep.
the regular game. Like, I'm gonna get the normal version because it's just absolutely dope.
It's dope.
Do you know who voices Afro Samurai?
No.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Really?
Yeah. You're out here like, how do I not watch any of this stuff? It's because y'all think I'm bugging when I'm like, you guys should get.
Is it
like,
American anime?
So yeah,
Kind of.
yeah.
Okay.
Like, there's always two versions, sub-dub. But yeah, man, like, there's some that just you should get into. Like, you want to go another Samurai one if anybody's just into those recommendations. Samurai Champloo, like, that's, like, hip-hop music, everything else, like, culture, that's just a wave. That's a vibe.
You're looking
So-
at Dennis. Does he watch that also?
Dennis, I know, is more willing to get down
Get
on
into anime?
reading a manga or watching an anime.
Dennis is just obsessed with Pokemon Legends Arceus right now. So maybe
I'm
later.
I'm buying a Switch,
Okay.
so that I can play Pokemon with Dennis. Because I was playing Pokemon with Dennis and we stopped playing because it was very difficult. I'm very demanding.
Oh, you're asking a lot of Dennis's time?
I'm asking a lot of Dennis's time.
Literally had nothing to do with that. It was just I lost interest in the game.
But weren't you up at like 6 o'clock 2 days ago to play?
different
something?
game.
Different game.
Oh, okay.
So
Completely
the
different style.
newest Pokemon game is like an RPG. It's like more of a like open world, legitimate like build your character and go to town.
Okay.
And there's like think of Destiny but Pokemon.
Okay.
Like
Gotcha.
the game never has to end. Like the hope is that like multiplayer combat, like compete for titles, like things like that, like what Pokemon always should have had. Because like I don't even understand it. Like why wouldn't you make a video game where like in today's like era where you could literally have people around the entire globe compete? Like you have Hearthstone contests, you have League of Legends contests, you have all this stuff, and you don't have a Pokemon one? What's up with the missed opportunities here?
I mean, no. Would you say Pokemon Go is like kind of like that? Where you
No,
can, like,
because you have to be live in person near the person to connect, versus like doing it in a traditional sense, like on PC or on a console, right? Like, and they absolutely should do it. But the problem has always been is that Pokemon will never go off platform. It's literally how Nintendo makes their money now.
Right.
But I feel like if they were to ever let one game become cross-platform, it would be that they should do it for the RPG version of it.
I think they MLB The Show is going to be on the Switch.
Yeah, again, they're trying to get more and
That's
more
huge.
cross-platform.
Love that. Yep.
And that's what I'm saying. Like cross-platform connectivity has become a bigger and bigger thing. Speaking of which, just funny sidebar. Did you guys see that Bungie was bought by Sony?
Yeah.
So Bungie, which was originally part of Xbox's like original like cachet of like companies, they're the originals who made Halo, were bought by Sony, but Bungie's best game right now is Destiny 2, but Destiny 2 is a cross-platform game. So you just bought something from...
Are the new Call of Duties cross-platform?
Yes.
Okay. Because didn't Xbox just buy the rights to those?
Yeah.
All the Call of Duty?
But, like, more people play Call of Duty every day by a wide margin
for sure.
play Destiny 2 anymore. Destiny faded because they just didn't do a good job.
Yep.
So, like, you bought a company, and meanwhile, Halo's out here
Killing it.
TV show is coming out.
TV show coming out. They got game.
I'm going to watch that. I'm super curious.
And Xbox is like, yeah, what's up, guys? We got it all. We're coming for the title.
Yep.
We took a nap for a console generation. But yeah, still, I can't find one. I want to get an Xbox Series X.
Oh, Series X, yeah.
I can't find a Series X to save my life. Anybody listening to the show right now who has the ins on get me one, I could make a personal call to somebody who probably could find me one. I will trade you multiple PlayStation 4s. I got you all day. All day. Fair trade. Fair denomination. So that was a big piece of news. But one of the other things, like, because we're obviously getting to the point that pitchers and catchers would be reporting, but there is no movement on that side. So we're out here just searching for information. I saw something today. Big story.
Okay.
Big story. Did you hear about Cedric Mullens?
Oh, I saw there was an article about it. I didn't get to read it.
Cedric Mullens, before the season, was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, had to get 6 inches of his intestines removed before the season, and went out and had the greatest season of his life after losing 20 pounds because he had his intestines removed.
What a beast.
What an absolute monster.
What a dog.
In other news, my wife was just somewhere and got into the wrong car.
What?
My wife just messaged our group chat for this entire thing. I got in the wrong car. Boop, boop. She just gets a thumbs up for that one. That's a standard Melissa move right there.
Goodness gracious. Just happened to pick the one car that's unlocked. And,
Yep.
Oh, goodness.
Got in.
That's got to be uncomfortable.
Somebody
hop in there. Where am I?
What if you're... Well, speaking of which, I got into somebody else's car
Okay.
2 days ago. Somebody was parked in our parking lot, taking up all of our spots. In the
you did do that.
In the Northeast, there was a lot of snow, so a person was parked in all of our parking spots in a giant rental truck. So I got in the rental truck and I moved it for that person because it was required.
Savage.
So both of us, me and my wife, both in other people's cars this week that we didn't know. So it's a family trait. Trait. But yeah, back to Cedric Mullens. That's crazy. The only 30-30 player in baseball last year, dude had just lost all his intestines. And none of that was like talked about at all. Like he didn't even like let everybody know.
No excuses.
He just went out there, no excuses, play like a champion.
Yep.
Right? Like crushed. And that's crazy. And for people who don't know, like we talk about, cancer, we talk about this, we talk about that. If you don't know about people who have like autoimmune issues and who have Crohn's disease and who have colitis and who have all this stuff, like imagine that occasionally you poop blood like in like quartz. And it's like the inside of your body is being ripped out by itself. That's what he was going through for parts of his career. So I'm sure for him that was like, hey, I got to go get this checked out. And they were like, hey, by the way, yeah, you have this. And it's so bad because you had been not diagnosed for so long that we actually have to go and remove your intestines so that we can get rid of the area that's terrible. Like, guys, the fact that the homie was playing with that, you don't absorb food appropriately. Like, you can't do a whole bunch of stuff. Cedric Mullens was playing.
This is on top of having Trey Mancini on his team.
Trey Mancini's on his team. Like, I'm saying, like, maybe we should move the team out of ball. Like Orioles should just move. Maybe it's something in the water. Like,
well, I mean, and that's part of the whole CBA thing is like they need some type of spend floor, or that's been discussed as a spend floor because the Orioles spent about $11 on their team last year, and didn't bring up prospects like Adley Rutschman to have any type of competition.
And you have this guy who
dogs like Cedric Mullens and Trey Mancini out here.
Cedric Mullens is probably going to be a guy who leaves the team in 12 months. You know, because he's going to get to the point that he can't be there anymore.
Or yeah, he doesn't need to be. He deserves a pay. He deserves
get the bag, but you guys should have to pay him ASAP.
I want to see what his contract is.
But I mean, I think he's got 4 years of service time at this point. So
yeah.
I don't know if like he's only got 2 more years left, and if you're gonna trade him, I feel like now like he's a guy who is a trade deadline piece. He's gonna be a guy who ends up getting moved if he continues to have the year that he had last year. If he has that year, trade deadline, he's gone.
Great
player.
Right? Great player.
Because that gives the other team 1 more year of his stuff. The Orioles can restock, reload with somebody else's prospects and get moving. But that's if we get a season going.
And right now, it looks like we're gonna have a delay. They had a meeting on Monday and Tuesday. They're having another meeting today or tomorrow, just talking about different issues. I know they were doing like economics and things earlier in the week. They're doing more like miscellaneous rules and things. I know something that was discussed though was the DH, and that seems like it's definitely going to be a go.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hype.
Yep.
Hype for the Mets.
Yep. We're getting somebody. I saw
Robbie Cano gets to just slide in with that bat and do nothing.
I saw a lot of people asking for Kyle Schwarber.
For the Mets?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't know. Where do you play all the guys that they already have?
He's as a DH.
But how are you going to play him? If he DHs, the reality is genuinely, if he DHs, you're going to have one of J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, or why am I blanking on his name? Dom Smith.
They're getting traded.
On the
Somebody's
bench. I'm saying, but like any of those guys has to be on the bench. And I don't know why you would like. That's right now.
Sure.
With a DH.
Yep.
One of those guys is sitting on a regular basis. And Cano.
The Mets news in general has been like they're like pushing this narrative. We want to trade J.D. Davis, McNeil, and Dom Smith.
Listen, I agree.
Yeah.
I think that they should. The reality, the only guy who I don't think that they really should trade from a quality standpoint, Jeff McNeil, I think is a really, really good player.
Yep.
I think last year culturally, like it just didn't match. So I think moving on from him makes sense. Dom Smith, I just wonder how much last year's like batting issues was just the whole team sucked because he had been a good hitter for years.
Yeah.
And Conforto had been a good hitter for years, and then everybody tanked.
And they didn't have continuity in a hitting coach this season for like the majority of the season, so it was...
I feel like you're trading too many guys at a low, except for JD, because JD is just all he does is hit.
Yep.
And all he does is drop bombs, and he's cheap. I just don't know why that has to happen. And I'm concerned that they trade people too soon, and they don't get enough value. And, like, that's my big thing. The Mets need more top-end talent. And I think they've gotten some pretty solid top-end talent this past offseason. Like, our center field is going to be great. But where are we putting guys? Kana is playing right field right now, right?
Yeah.
And occasionally some first base. But Dom Smith could play some first base. Pete Alonso could DH. That would give you better defense in the outfield. But Nimmo's got to move to left or right. Like...
So
too many guys.
I think the Mets are going to try and make some type of move free agency wise when all of this ends, whenever it does end. And I also think to make room for whoever that is, they're going to trade one of the guys we just mentioned for not a high-end piece. Some type of I want to say middle of the road, like hitter or pitcher, probably a pitcher. I'm not sure who exactly, but I know that they also put out that they want to try and add another arm that's like on a top-end level. So there's a lot of question marks coming out of free agency, and it seems like they're going to have to move quick because it doesn't look like they're going to get this ironed out before the actual season or before like normal spring training starts.
I actually think that that benefits the Mets more than other teams, because the Mets have all the money in the world. Like, they just don't care if they don't make a.
Steve is ready to go to $300 million.
We make a bad decision. I don't care. Just take my money.
Yep.
Right? Because I think in his mind, he's like, if I lose $100 million a year on this team, I don't care. So as long as they make $200 million, I can spend $300, no problem.
Yep.
So there's still a lot of room left to go vertical.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other side of it is this the last year of Cano?
Yes, I believe so.
So like this is Cano's last actual like money making season.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got $20 million that comes off the books after that.
Yep.
So like they're gonna spend that money again on what? So why not just spend on a guy who can take that spot a year later? I would say yes, I'm with you. The pitching staff still needs somebody. They got DeGrom, Scherzer. Carrasco, I think, is better than last year was. I think it was just so much weirdness with him.
Yeah.
But he's also getting older. I don't think he's going to be a 3-starter. Taijuan Walker, we have no idea what he is. Tyler McGill, though, like we don't know what he is either. The first half when he was pitching,
right,
and then he got tired because it's the most innings he ever did, and he was whatever.
Mm-hmm.
If he's really, really good.
That's what I'm saying. We need someone who we currently have to step up to be our number 3, or we need to go get someone that we know is a number 3.
Well, because don't we also have, what's his name coming back? Peterson?
Sure.
But you and me saw Peterson, and it was the exact thing. Peterson would go back and forth, and he'd be an absolute stud.
His top end is phenomenal, but it's not often. So I have him as a 4 or 5.
Is that the inconsistency? Because last year was his worst year.
But it was also
But it was everybody.
Year.
But it was also everybody on. It wasn't his second year.
Yeah, it is.
No, Peterson had pitched before that with us. That was his second full year.
Oh, he was here in 2019.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I know he definitely shoved in 2020. That's why it was like, oh, Peterson's the guy.
I might be wrong.
I don't know.
Could I be wrong?
I did see also that it looks like the MLBPA is like they're in an effort to find some common ground for the CBA. They are probably going to accept.
Doug and it's David Peterson.
Yeah, whatever. Doug, Todd, David, whatever.
Well, Doug Peterson is an NFL coach.
I know.
Well, he was an NFL coach.
Was an NFL coach.
Oh, so Cano has another year on his deal. It's not done after this one.
So that's why they need.
Don't like that.
That's why they need.
Really tired of him. So it looks like they're going to agree on doing the WAR concept for the top 30 players, as in an effort to kind of get this thing done. I know that there's still what was the big thing that there's giant gap on the bonus pool of money. I believe they're $100 million off from what their ask is. Like the MLB wants to do a $10 million pool, and the PA wants a $100 million pool.
For what?
For pre-arbitration bonus pool money. For like those top 30 guys.
Oh, so like the WAR only matters, but there's only like $10 million in it?
Correct.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
And that's what I'm saying. The PAs, they are $90 million separate on their number. For
I got to look into that because I have to understand exactly what they're trying to think with that. My thought would be that, like, if we're going based off of the WAR, like, it's 100% on WAR.
But so that's what I'm saying. I don't even know if they fully understand what each wants. If one, like, that's so vastly different of what the offer is. I need to look into it more also, but that just doesn't make sense that they would ask for something so substantially higher. But maybe that's more. Maybe they're putting that number. The MLB is putting that number because they don't want to do it. So it's like, hey, cool, you're gonna be $10 million, but that's it. That's all we're gonna offer. I don't know. I know there's a lot of stuff that they are not even remotely close on. So we'll see how it all kind of progresses.
The MLBPA drops a proposed bonus pool allotment from $105 million to $100 million. The core owners are likely to put forth their proposal on Tuesday. The union put forth only small changes relative to its past off. The most meaningful alterations are twofold. While the MLB had pushed for a $105 million pool, they reduced that number to $100 million in today's proposal. That's still far above the $10 million that MLB has envisioned for those bonus allotments, leaving a massive gap yet to be bridged. As they said yesterday, accounting for the fact that the PA is hoping to spread that money to a smaller group of players than MLB would like, given the union's push for players reaching arbitration earlier in their careers. The other known modification to the union's offer involves disincentivized service time gaming. The MLB is seeking to allow the PA is seeking to allow players to earn a full year of service based upon their finishes in various awards voting and placements on wins above replacement leaderboards. The union's most recent offer would grant a full year of service to catchers and infielders who finish among the top 7 in each league in their position WAR rankings. Outfielders, starting pitchers, and relief pitchers who land among the top 20 in their league by WAR at each position will also pick up a bonus year. That's a lot less. So again, like everybody, if we're using WAR as the thing, I think that like $10 million just seems so small, but $100 million doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
The $100 million was for, you said, less players to receive just more money?
The PA is saying that they want it to only be allotted to these guys. The MLB is saying that it's for every person. So like, it's also the MLB is giving smaller money and wants it to be spread across more people.
Right.
The PA wants more money and wants it spread across less people.
Right. So either way,
that seems like a big sticking point for everybody. And, like, who's going to make the move? It seems like both of them are being wild and reckless.
Yep.
Maybe that lands somewhere in the middle, but what is $50 million for? That's what I have to do some research on.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's only for one season, how many arbitration guys do you have?
It's not like a ton. And then it's also from that group, how many of them are top-tier players.
So, and that becomes the thing, right? So imagine right now, who do the Mets have going to arbitration? Dom Smith is coming up. Pete Alonso is coming up.
Yep.
Nimmo's in it. So, like, if you had Nimmo and Pete Alonso based off of WAR, the Mets right off the cap would be at least $30 million to those two guys.
Right.
So that's way above the $10 million that they're saying that they would allow for the allotment just in those two.
Mm-hmm.
The PA, I think, is right in saying that the pool should be higher. I just don't think it needs to be $100 million. Because really the $100 million only helps out if your team has 3 guys who are the best in the world. Like Juan Soto. Juan Soto would be welcome to $40 million in WAR.
Right. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Now, if you had one other guy who was like Trey Turner-esque at the same time on that team, let's say he was in the same boat from an arbitration standpoint. He's not, but if he had been, you're probably going to have to pay him $25 million. So now you're looking at $65 million between those two spots. It, to me, makes the most sense that allotment number has to be north of $50 million. I would be fine with it not being 100. But I think that you're bugging to say 10, because that's pretty much just.
What have people been roughly getting in arbitration? Like 18?
Well, your first year in arbitration,
like for like the top end guys, I don't remember.
Even your first year of arbitration, you get like $1 million.
That's it?
Yeah. Mike Trout, I'm pretty sure, got like the record. They paid him like $1 million in his first year of like. You're making more than the minimum. And he made $1 million. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
He was highly underpaid. What they're saying is if we pay Trout, Trout's only going to get $4 million because we have $10 million total. Mm-hmm. So even though we're going based off of WAR, we're doing WAR and then we're pulling it down.
Right.
I think that again, like the MLB is drunk, and the PA can't move off of this. They pitched that deal. It can't be $10 million, though. You guys can't, because then you guys are pretty much just getting to the point that it's arbitration anyway. It's actually better for you guys. Like, none of that means anything.
Oh, yeah, no. On the top end, like, the most was 10.
But that's later in arbitration. That's not
Right,
year one
right,
arbitration.
yeah.
I'm saying year one. No, there's some guys who have made like $18 million in the final year of arbitration.
Okay. So then, yeah. I'm just
'Cause
saying. I'm just looking at like recently.
Lindor, I think, made $18 million in his last year of arbitration.
Like like Edwin Diaz is the highest on the Mets with 10.4.
Right, but that's right now.
Right. I'm just saying because that's like what they're kind of. Yeah. Some people make a little more. Okay. I do think that they need to find like some type of. I mean, I guess they're going to try and work on it, but it seems like their thought processes are just wildly different if it's 10 versus 100.
Yeah, so Francisco Lindor made $316K in 2015, 540K in 2016, 579 in 2017, 623 in 2018. So that's his first 4 years. Then in his first year of arbitration, he made 10.5.
Okay.
In his second year, he made 6.5. Then he went to the Mets and he made $43 million. Like, that's what's broken. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't make it 10.
And all of those years, he was considered a top 5 shortstop.
Facts. Like, and that's why we've been saying, like, I think that the my man on the Rays. Why am I blanking on his name?
Wander Franco.
Wander, his contract makes sense because he bought out those years where he would have only made $500K.
He's getting what, like 15 a year or something like that?
I think he's making 18 or
15,
20 million
18?
a year.
Yeah,
Like,
yes, it is 18. That's right.
So like he's making, and I said to you, like, he'll make more money in his first 10 years of being in the MLB than Lindor.
More money.
Like Lindor, but think about that. Lindor just made $43 million.
Yep.
And Lindor won't catch up to what Wander's making until 2024 season or the 2025 season.
In career earnings?
In career earnings. Like, Wander by age 32 and Lindor at age 32 will have made identical amounts of money.
Wander's only making 16.5 a year.
16.5, okay.
But 16.5 versus, and this is in year 2, and in year 2, Lindor made $540K. So he's making 16.5 when he made $540. Right? So, like, he's making $16 million more for the next 3 years than Lindor had made. So by the time he gets to arbitration, where Lindor made 10, he will have already have made somewhere in the ballpark of $48 million more than Lindor had made earlier in his life. When you then take into account being able to invest that money, the Wander deal is perfect. It's perfect with what the rules have been. My issue is it's not about Wanders anymore because now we have this idea. You sign you sign all the young heads to these big, long deals when they're 21, 22, if they've proven that they're the guy. Soto's not signing because he wants to be a Met. But
he's also going to cost $500 million.
But he'll wait, and Steve
sure.
Cohen, he'll walk up to Steve after he's a free agent, and he'll say, hello, sir.
This is my number on a post-it.
This is my number.
Yeah.
I want 10 years, $500 million. Will you be the person to do it?
And Steve says, who
and
do I
Steve
make the check out
says,
to?
would you like it in cash? I have it in a pool on the 17th floor of my,
My bad house.
downstairs underground layer. That he just has.
Have it in actual bitcoins.
He'll actually walk to the wall and he'll pull off a piece of artwork and he'll be like, here
it
you
is.
go.
You just go sell this to somebody.
If you sell this now. So actually, here's all of your money for your entire career.
Facts.
Decide when you want to sell this to make what you want to make.
Yep. You just look at it for a while.
Facts.
Like,
You can just start selling, like letting people look at it. You can make money.
Facts.
Make a couple $1 million every year. You ever want to sell it? $500 million, stacking cash right on you. That's a lot in taxes. Maybe you want to sell that in a place that has less taxes.
Texas?
Yeah. You probably got to sell it somewhere else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sell it in America. I'd
Sell it in Monaco?
I'd be in Switzerland.
Switzerland? True.
I'd be making moves. Did you know that there are places like free ports that you can have like assets and things on, and they don't actually count as part of the country? So as long as you don't bring it into the country, it can sit there in storage and not get touched.
Like the physical port counts as international waters?
Yeah.
Oh, it's dope.
It's
No, I
like a
didn't know
nothing
that.
thing.
That's
so
sick.
you can then go there and you can see all of your
It's
possessions.
connected to the land, though? It's not
Yeah.
just something. Okay.
Yeah. And it's at like airports and things like that. Like you have these little zones where, so like as long as you don't sign and take over the property at any given time, it could just sit there. So now you don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to do anything because you haven't taken the asset in.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Delaware.
So like, Dennis. Good find.
Dennis out here running because Dennis is like, Bill's lying.
You're lying.
This can't be an actual real thing. And he's like, sure as hell is.
No, I was just curious where the nearest one was.
Well, what? That's the one you know of. There's one in New York City. I won't tell anybody.
Is, yeah.
I won't let anybody know about the
which pier is that?
the things I know. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, I mean that go make your stacks. But separate from that, it's the guys who are like the Confortos of the world, like Michael Conforto for the Mets, or Noah Syndergaard, or Jacob deGrom, or any of these other guys. They were really, really good players, but later. Pete Alonso made more money in his career winning home run derbies than he has from being a player.
Yep.
I'll repeat that again. I've said it on the show before. We all know it, but we'll say it again for enthusiasm for the topic. Pete Alonso has made more money winning the MLB home run derby at the All-Star game than he has made as a player. That is what's broken. Is like Pete's out here like one day of work, baby. Makes me all my cash.
Facts.
Makes me all the stuff I need. That dude has the record for most home runs that a rookie has ever hit. He's one of a handful of players who have hit 50 in their lifetimes. And the dude made $500,000 to go do that. That is broken. That dude should have been able to go to his WAR and be like, I am a top 5 first baseman. Pay me $14 million.
This year is his first year making some actual cash.
But what's the actual cash?
$7 million.
$7 million. What would Pete Alonso?
Comparatively speaking, he's made like what, $1 million?
Hold on, Dennis, do me a favor. Dennis, pull me up top salaries for first baseman. Like who's the highest paid first baseman in the game right now, separate from Albert Pujols?
When Freddie gets paid, it'll be Freddie.
So let's say it's gonna be Freddie. So Freddie is a better player than Pete.
Yes.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Number 1, Paul Goldschmidt. He's making $26 million.
So I would say Paul Goldschmidt and Pete are comparable.
Except for Goldschmidt's 34.
Sure. Fine. But, I mean, his glove's probably better.
I think Pete's underrated with his glove. I'm with you.
I agree. But
I don't think Pete's a liability.
No, definitely not.
And I would say that his power is the best in the game. Like Pete's ability to turn a ball and send it out is the best in the game. Now that doesn't mean he hits the most home runs all the time, has the best batting average, any of these other things. But
in terms of raw power,
raw power
I would
hitter
agree
at
with
that position, scare the pants off of somebody that he might like hit one out. Now Paul Goldschmidt last year was a 6-1 WAR. Pete Alonso finished with a 4-2, right?
What's Goldschmidt's full contract? Do you have that up?
But so let's even say that Pete should be making, based off of that number, if Paul's making 27 and Pete's 33% less of WAR, Pete should be making 67% of that contract.
It's like
right?
20?
That's $18 million. So he's making 7. He's damn near 3 times less than he should be getting paid.
What you got, Dietz?
So he's halfway through a 5-year, $130 million contract.
Okay. Pete's a free agent at 30 in 2025.
He's Paul Goldschmidt.
Yep.
It's the same thing. You bring up these guys when they're already older guys, and then they don't get to the bag until late in their career. Now Goldschmidt's aging pretty well.
Oh yeah.
But Pete's already 27.
Yep.
And Pete's only had 2.5 seasons in MLB. Right. But his OPS is damn 900.
He's a great player.
And that dude is making nothing.
So let me ask you this: if you're Steve, are you paying Pete his long-term deal when he gets to 30?
Honestly, no.
Okay.
Right this second, because Mark Vientos exists. like my Mark Vientos love ding,
Runs deep.
goes deep here. Vientos is a good power hitter, 6'3". He can still add some size. He'd be a better defensive player than Pete. I don't think he'd be the home run hitter that Pete is.
But if there's a DH in the world.
But if there's a DH in the world, I could see Pete moving full-time there and Vientos going to first base.
Well, Vientos will probably be there.
Huh?
Vientos is going to be here soon. This year, maybe next year.
And he's younger than Brett Beatty, who's the best player in the system right this second. Mm-hmm. Francisco Alvarez, a catcher. I think this is the last year that he's not the catcher.
Okay.
But I don't think that they're going to pay him early because they're going to let McCann's money run out before they ever consider giving him the bag.
Yep.
But what's the incentive to pay a guy early?
I guess if it's
unless
honestly,
he's going to outpace a dollar amount, right?
So that's why Wander Franco is like the perfect example.
Exactly.
Honestly, I would say Ozzie Albies is another great example.
Yeah.
His contract like sucks for the amount of talent he has. He's getting paid like $8 million a year for like the next 6 years.
But didn't they jump Albies even earlier?
Yes, it was super early, and that's why everyone was like, "What are you doing? Like, you're going to be an expensive second baseman."
But Ozzie Albies, again, I don't think the deal is as bad as everybody thinks it is, and maybe I'm wrong. I could have.
I remember it being like a big topic of like this is not ideal. Let me see. His contract is through 2027. He makes $7 million a year. So it was, call it 2020. Call it an 8 years, $42 million.
So when did that deal get signed?
2020, 2021.
No, so he on April 11th, 2019, the Braves second baseman Ozzie Albies agreed on an extension. So that was after Ozzie Albies.
7 years, 35.
That was after Ozzie Albies' 2018 season.
Yeah.
So my question is, and my thing to that is, after 2018, Ozzie Albies was a 757 OPS second baseman.
Mm-hmm.
He did not then make an All-Star game the year after that. This past year, he finally made the All-Star game again, but he batted .259 with a 799 OPS. Mm-hmm. But he hit 30 home runs.
Yep.
Right? So he
and a Gold Glove caliber second baseman.
1,000%. My thing is that when you look at what he's got, and you look at when they signed him,
mm-hmm.
They bought out 2019, 20, and 21.
Right, for the team, it's a great deal.
I think for the player, it's a good deal.
I think you can get more money than this. Personally.
But when's the contract up? 2027
when he's 30.
Does it end in 2027?
Yep.
Yeah, then he got screwed.
Yeah.
Then he screwed himself. Because like the 7-year deal isn't even long. It doesn't get you out truly at the height of yourself. Probably getting out at 29 would have made sense. But he was overpaid for how good he was for 3 years. This last year is the first year where you're like, okay, now I got to start thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other years he was in it, like even the year he was an All-Star when he was young, like he wasn't a superstar. Like because if we're looking at because the idea with him is you have to look at like Francisco Lindor, right?
He hasn't actually even graduated yet to the full $7 million per year. It was $1 million for 19, 20, $3 million for 21. This year he's making $5 million, and then next year he gets to $7 million.
Yeah, so if it's 7 years, $35 million, it's actually $5 million a year.
Right, average, yes.
Right, so it's an average of $5 million a year.
Right.
My thing is, again, you go back in time for where his contract was and where he was. 2018 was also his first actual year of counting.
Right.
So he wouldn't have exited.
He would still be, for sure.
He'd be on the minimized version of things for 2019, 20, 21, 22, 23. 24 would be the first time he'd be a free agent.
Yep.
And he's a free agent after 26.
He's a free agent after 30.
No, after 2026.
27. After
no,
27.
In 27.
In year 2028, he's a free agent.
Yeah, then his agents got hosed.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'd stop playing baseball. I just quit.
Just Antonio Brown this thing.
Yeah.
Get me off this team.
Yeah. But to put it in perspective, like Albie's best year of his career was as good as the first year that Francisco Lindor ever played baseball.
Okay.
Like Francisco Lindor's got an 821 career OPS.
Mm-hmm.
And Albie's career OPS at this point is 802. And that's buoyed by the fact that he has 1 year where he did an 852. He's been above 800 in 2 out of 5 years. So, like, I look at that and I go, he's a poor man's Lindor. Right now, he's making more money. He's getting crushed in from 2024 on. He's getting crushed.
Mm-hmm. So to answer the question, doing that only makes sense if it's good for both sides, buying out their arbitration and things like the Wander Franco situation. Ozzie Albies, on the other hand, it seems like the player got hosed more than the team for what the team's going to get for the next 6 years. And obviously that's the topic of the...
Yeah, no, 100%. I look at Albies, now looking at his deal, for sure. Like, he did the wrong thing. But then you look at, like, Tatis. Tatis did the right thing.
Yep.
Right? I would say...
Because that was a big thing, was his annual earnings on that contract. Everyone was like, whoa, you're only going to make $20 million a year. Like, what do you mean? You're easily a $30 million a year guy if you wait till free agency.
But it's like, guys,
you're
not
why?
Understanding that I'm going to make $500,000 this year.
Yep.
Now I'm making 20. Like, I'm getting paid more today. Yeah, I'll get paid more then, but it doesn't make sense. But this is the dynamic with the Players Association and the problem. They want to see guys make $35 million because it pushes up the average annual deals. The problem of that is that it only ends up being that only helps a small percentage of the population. Tatis taking $20 million a year helps the guy who helps Trey Turner. It helps Trey Turner because he's a guy who's about to come up on free agent. It helped all these shortstops, Correa, all these guys.
Yep.
It's going to help all of them because they're going to look at his total money. So it doesn't matter that he signed it less years. They're going to ask for his total money.
No, anybody who pushes the pay ceiling
is
helpful.
Gross.
Right, the gross, absolutely.
Go for the gross.
Yep.
And don't worry about the other things. Don't worry about the other stuff. But also at the same time, do what's best for you.
Yeah.
Do what's best for you, and for a lot of these guys, it's that. So, like, going back to Pete's already 27. It doesn't make sense for the Mets to do it at this point, right? And then what do you even pay Pete? Because if Pete says, yeah, you know what, like, I want Goldschmidt's contract, would you do a 7-year, $140 million for Pete?
How old is he right now?
27. It would bring him to 34.
Yeah, I probably would.
$20 million a year. So, like...
So this might be the comp then, because Eric Hosmer right now, he's 32 years old. He's halfway through an 8-year, $144 million deal that he signed when he was 28, which is about $21 million a year.
And I think he's better than Hosmer.
I would say they're comparable. I'd still say Hosmer has a better glove.
You overdo glove.
No,
for me at
I'm
first
just saying
base.
when you look at a first baseman is more two-dimensional. It's like, can you field and can you hit? It's not about can you run, do you have range, like whatever. It's
but I think
Freddie Freeman's an MVP because he rakes and also is a Gold Glover.
But I think you vastly overrate glove. Eric Hosmer hit 12 home runs last year. He was a 1 WAR.
For sure. So
he's four. So
that's what I'm saying. I think
Pete Alonso's 4 times better.
I think Pete's a better hitter than Hosmer, which outweighs the fact that his glove isn't as good. So to answer to Dennis's question, yes, I would do that.
But that's why I'm saying he's a better player than Hosmer.
That's why Goldschmidt's probably
meh.
All right, whatever.
Like, put it in perspective.
Fine.
Hosmer in 11 years has 188 home runs. Right?
I think I just have the image of like Royals Hosmer in my head from
I think
like
that also
2015.
could have something to do with it because he's got the ring. He probably got a little bit more money added to it.
In 11 years, in 3 seasons,
I'm still triggered from 2015. That's what it is.
In 3 seasons, one of which was the shortened 50-game season that Pete played in, Pete's got 106 home runs. In 11 years, with one of those years being the shortened season, Hosmer has 188. Pete Alonso's going to pass Hosmer's home run total for his career next year. Not this year, next year. Mm-hmm. So in year 5, he's going to have hit more home runs than Hosmer has hit in 13 seasons. It's not close. So I would say, again, if Hosmer's that, yeah, I would buy out Pete's arbitration years to get there for $20 million a year. Like, it would, but the thing is can they put the money on the books this year? And at this point, I don't think the Mets want to do that.
No, I don't think so.
If they're going to sign him, it would be next year after somebody else's money comes off.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trevor May's money. Because Trevor May's making what? 10?
I'm
sure.
looking it up.
I think they signed Trevor May for like $10.5 million a year.
Sounds possible.
I like Trevor. Great dude. I don't know if I want to keep paying him $10 million a year.
He's 7.75.
I don't know if I want to pay him 7.75.
No, I don't
He
think
sounds
so.
like a real nice $4.5 million guy.
That sounds more likely.
Yeah, that.
But yeah, I don't think
that
it's this year.
2.38 ERA.
The spend is
long time ago.
The spend in this offseason has been hefty for the Mets, and it seems like it's not done yet. So next year, well, also here's a follow-up question: when is DeGrom a free agent again?
He might have one more.
If DeGrom comes out this season and pitches even remotely decent, you pay him again?
DeGrom, it looks like there's options past this year, so it looks like he's good until 2025 would be his free agent year.
But he has player options or team options.
That I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
You guys vamp.
Please let it be team options.
Please, God.
Please let it be team options. I think it's player options. I'm with you, though.
I'm assuming it is.
It's a player option next year, but he'd be making $30.5 million on the player option, and then the following season is a team option, which he'd be making $32.5 million.
He opting out. He's
but
opting
we
out.
pay him again.
So here's the danger. Here's the
How
danger.
many years
Here's
is
the
on Scherzer
danger.
for?
3 years.
Because he's gonna command Scherzer money.
He's gonna command Scherzer. He's gonna ask for Scherzer.
So
money
we're
for
gonna
sure.
pay 2 pitchers $80 million.
We're gonna pay 2 pitchers like $85 million.
Woo!
We're gonna pay 2 pitchers $85 million.
I'm okay with that.
So hold on. Let's circle this all the way back around.
Yeah.
So the Mets win the World Series
This year?
this year.
Okay.
Everyone gets paid, right?
Yeah.
If the Mets don't make the playoffs, do they pay DeGrom?
If they don't make the playoffs,
Do they pay DeGrom?
I think. Listen, last year, the fall was just monumental.
Yeah.
However, I think we can really look back at it and say, okay, the players we did have were not all top level, top end guys. This year, we have a lot of top end guys.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big problem if we don't make the playoffs. Something went horribly wrong. Coaching, injuries, something had to have gone completely astray that we didn't even make it to the wild card or something.
Bro,
I feel like you have to keep.
let's even go back. I'll placate to you to some degree. Mets get bounced first round of the playoffs.
Okay. Am I
Do
paying
you pay
DeGrom?
DeGrom?
His elbow's a ticking time bomb at this point.
So
Kinda,
like,
yeah.
this is my point.
It is a bit scary.
This is my point. And my thing really goes back to for me for a lot of things is if Steve really doesn't care about his money, Steve should buy out Cano in his last year. Because if he buys out Cano, it doesn't go on the salary cap and it doesn't apply to any of those things. So if he buys out Cano next year, because it'll only be 1 year he's buying out left, right? And Cano's deuces, right? He buys out Cano.
Mm-hmm.
The Mets then have a problem of Lindor's money keeps going up. Scherzer's money goes up a little more. You got to now think you got to pay Jacob. Who's the other third pitcher that's coming in? You're going to have to pay Pete soon.
Well, I mean, there's also on the flip side, you're going to have potentially 3 starting players that are going to be making league minimum.
Who?
In the next, Alvarez, Beatty, Vientos. If those guys
But that's my thing. Where are they playing?
So,
Nimmo, you're going to have to pay soon.
Canna's only a 2-year deal.
But Canna's only a 2-year deal. But Canna is not going to get bought out after this upcoming
I'm not
year.
saying he is, but I'm saying in 2 years from now.
You're going to have Nimmo, Canna, and you're going to have Marte in outfield.
Right. Canna
For the next 2 years.
Sure.
You're going to have Dom, Smith, and Pete at first and DH. You're going to have Francisco Lindor at shortstop.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have second base, third base, and catcher with any type of variability.
Yep.
You right now have J.D. Davis, Jeff McNeil, McCann. Right? Where are you going with anybody?
I think from like
you're talking about Beatty and all those guys. All those other contracts come up. We have to
the
trade
happy
them.
marriage of having top tier talent and then also having your supporting cast members be affordable. You have to kind of assume that you want to keep Pete. As much as Nimmo is a great player, he's probably replaceable.
No shot. He's not replaceable.
Kind of replaceable.
Not at all.
I understand that he has a decent average, has good at bats, decent defender, but if I told you tomorrow Brandon Nimmo sprained his ankle, was never going to play baseball again, and Khalil Lee is his replacement at $500,000 a year,
we're in trouble.
Maybe.
So let me put this in perspective. Last year, Brandon Nimmo's WAR was a 3.6 in 325 at bats.
Okay.
Pete Alonso for the entire season was a 4.2. So you're telling me Pete, you keep, but a guy who played half the games is a no-go. If Nimmo plays the entirety of last season at that same pace, he's a 7.2 WAR player, pretty much.
Okay.
At 7.2 WAR, he's worth more than Pete Goldschmidt. That's a $30 million player.
So hold on. So tell me. So you have to pick one pitcher, one infielder, and one outfielder.
Yes.
To build your team around. Go.
Cool. Nimmo, Lindor.
Well, you already have Marte for the next 4 or 5 years.
But I would rather have Nimmo over Marte. You're telling me I have to pick.
So then why do we sign him?
Because we're paying for everybody. My point to you is that just because we paid for Marte doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep
Who's a better
Nimmo.
player?
Nimmo.
In all facets.
Yeah.
Well, which ones?
Everything that has to do with hitting the ball, everything that has to do with being at the plate, he is better. I think that they are comparable as outfielders. Nimmo has been forced to play out of position for himself in center field routinely. If he is allowed to play corner outfield, he is a plus defender. So now we're talking about a guy who's the best on-base percentage person in all of MLB. Every single human you know who plays the game of baseball is worse than Nimmo. Name a player in MLB right now.
Hold on, I just
name a player. Just any guy you want.
Starling.
Worse than Nimmo.
At what?
At getting on base.
Well, Deets, can you pull up Nimmo's stats for me?
His on-base percentage was 400 plus for the third consecutive season.
I'm waiting for Deets. We're gonna go line
I
by
also
line
have an interesting thing afterwards. Whatever.
Okay.
Brandon Nimmo. You want this year's stats?
Yes, please.
So he had.
And I understand. Give me his at bats first.
He had 325 at bats.
Okay. And Marte had 467. Continue.
He had a 292 batting average.
Marte had a 310 batting average.
8 home runs.
Marte had 12.
28 RBIs.
Marte had 55.
Oh, we can't go in counting stats. You can't look at the guy.
Okay, no, I understand. He had 100 less at bats. Sure.
Bats.
Okay. What's his OBP?
His OPS is
on base percentage.
401.
Okay, 383. In more at bats, so fine.
Yes, but how many years in a row did Nimmo get 400 plus? That was his third year in a row.
Marte's OBP the last
excuse me. Third out of 4 years.
20,
he was only a 376 in 2019 when he batted 221 and was injured.
Okay, so fine. From an on-base perspective, I agree with you. Okay? But I think if you're talking about who's more of a top
Not
level.
even just that. Slugging, they're very similar. OPS,
Sure.
they're very
so
similar.
they're both great players. Fine.
So my point is,
I'm
why
thinking-
are we so gassed? And why are we so gassed about Marte? But you're very, very quick to be like, we could just let Nimmo go.
Because I'm saying from a perspective of if money becomes a question, even though it doesn't seem like it's going to
Yeah,
be.
I trade Marte.
Okay.
Because how old is Starling Marte? 33 and change. How old is Nimmo? 28, 29?
Don't know.
He's 28 and 313 days.
28, 29. So we got a guy who's 4 years younger, who's the same player in almost every other facet. Yeah, I have my answer. I'd rather go with Nimmo. Nimmo gets so underplayed by everybody always.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm with you. He ends up picking up these injuries. He misses weird time. Like, things happen to Nimmo. But when you look at Nimmo's seasons where he gets 500-plus at-bats, you start scaling him together, he is an absolute unit.
I love watching him play. I'm not saying I personally want him as a player. I'm saying if we have a limit. Which I don't think we do.
2018 is the last time Nimmo got 500-plus at-bats.
See, that's bad.
And in that season, he had 28 doubles, 8 triples, 17 home runs. He had a 404 on-base percentage and an 886 OPS.
So at what point does he have the
and in
injury-prone tag
2018, that would have made him a 24-year-old. At 24, he was an 886 OPS, 20 home run guy.
Great player. Listen, I'm on the same page as you. I get that. At what point does he have the injury tag where it's like, I need to get someone who's going to be here for 155 games?
He has it already.
Right.
So I'm with you.
And age is only going to...
More my point is, I am not as quick to just say Nimmo sprains an ankle and can never play baseball again, and we're okay. If Nimmo is not in our lineup, we are in, like, Nimmo's going to bat 2 for us.
Yeah.
Like, Nimmo's batting second.
So, but as it
because Marte steals more bases.
So back to the original question of what is the shit show if the Mets if we get bounced from the playoffs in the first round or don't win the World Series? That's what I'm saying. Something has to go astronomically wrong because, as we keep saying it, this lineup that we have assembled is actually a World Series tier lineup.
Yes.
Last year was like, okay, we have a pretty solid lineup.
No, last year was a World Series tier lineup.
We said that, and then we got absolutely screwed.
So that's my point. That's why I'm asking the question. I don't think our lineup,
this lineup is better than last year.
I don't think our lineup is that much better than last year's lineup.
It's a little bit better.
Okay, tell me why.
Who was our left fielder last year?
Dom Smith.
Cool. He batted like shit.
Well, again, but if you want me to pull up Dom Smith, let's pull up Dom Smith in Dom Smith.
So who's our left fielder this year?
Brandon Nimmo.
Great. That's an upgrade, yes?
Yes.
Can I have Canha's stats?
Yes.
But let me just put this in perspective. The year before last year, Dom Smith, 993 OPS. The year before that, 881 OPS. So when I say that it's an upgrade, I don't know if I am being completely honest. 2020, he batted .316 with a .616 slugging percentage for a .993 OPS. Yes, it was only in 50 games, all that good jive. The year before, he played 90 games, and he had a .282 batting average, .525 slugging, and .880 OPS. So all I'm saying is that Dom Smith, who we had for 2 consecutive years, that was who we had playing left field for us last year. So going into last year versus going into this year, even.
For Dom and
How
Nimmo?
we had to think about the player.
Sure. Fine.
So even. Wash.
Okay. So
Dom Smith versus Nimmo now.
So in your head, for this scenario, they're the same player.
Same quality player.
So if I said we traded Nimmo instead of Dom, how do you feel?
Terrible.
So then they're not the same player.
No, but my point is going into last year.
But I'm talking about going into this year.
No. When we walked into last year, you were making assumptions.
Sure. Well, when we saw,
and when you sat down,
yes.
this lineup
was fine. Yes.
What your most recent history would have been, and Dom Smith is 1,000 OPS left fielder. So in actuality, last year's left fielder is better than this year's left fielder. Done. Cool. So last year was better. So we thought last year was better. Who was our center fielder? Marte versus Nimmo.
Yeah.
Right? So what was Nimmo coming off of in his 2020 shortened season? You tell me what Marte did in 2020.
In 2020, Starling Marte only played. Oh no, he had. Okay. He batted.
Just give me an OPS.
I know. His OPS was 770.
So we got worse at center field this year. Because Nimmo was coming off of an 888 center field season in 2020. So we got worse in left, worse in center. What are we doing right?
We had
Mark
Conforto.
Canna.
Do you
So-
really want Canada stats? Because they're not.
Yeah, I do.
So this is the thing that jumped out at me. He got hit by 27 pitches last year and still only had a on-base OPS of 746. So like on-base percentage, he was 358. with 27.
And last year, coming into the season, we had Michael Conforto, who was coming off a 927 OPS. So our outfield right now, substantially worse than last year's outfield. Let's go next.
When we're making assumptions in the preseason. Just to
right
be
now,
clear,
I'm
yes.
making an assumption in the preseason.
From our last year's
my point to you is what we're doing right now is an assumption.
No, so all I'm saying for the people
assuming
listening,
the best.
for all I'm saying for the people listening is we're comparing to our assumptions from
At
this
both
time
points.
last year.
At both points.
Yes.
So last year
we went into the season like, damn, the Mets are disgusting. We're going to win the World Series.
Last year you had 3 outfielders with a 900 plus OPS season the year before.
Right.
3. This year you have 2 guys who are in the 700s and 1 guy who's in the 800s. Outfield has gotten worse. Cool. Next.
No, those are my main people.
No, go infield. Because you're saying we have a World Series lineup right now.
Hold
on. Versus last year, you're telling me we didn't think we had a World Series. No, we absolutely thought.
Why am I blanking on who we signed for third base?
Escobar.
Eduardo Escobar.
Eduardo Escobar versus J.D. Davis. Wash.
Do you want to hear something fun about this Mets team as well?
Please, Dennis.
2024, they have 19 players that are under contract and $149 million in payroll. That would currently be 5th in the league of this year with all the teams in the MLB.
That's why everything's broken. Yeah, but also you got to look at it. There's a lot of money that's still going to get paid in the not too distant future that's going to change that number.
Well, no, what I'm saying is like they still have to pay Pete in that time.
No,
I'm
saying to you other teams didn't sign Carlos Correa. Like there's guys who are free agents who are going to sign to bigger teams, and those teams are going to add $30 million to their payroll.
Fair.
So the Mets payroll is not 149 will not end up being in the top 5 by the time everybody starts finishing up their teams this year. That's all I'm trying to say. Separate from that.
So cool. Third base is a wash. J.D. Davis, Eduardo.
Yeah.
Shortstop.
We expect them to
Lindor.
both be Lindor, so it's a wash.
Cool. Second base, McNeil or Cano.
Versus McNeil.
Yeah.
Coming off of McNeil seasons.
Sure.
We got worse at second.
Sure. I hope McNeil starts over Cano.
Pete.
Sure. Pete's great.
McCann.
McCann's last season going into it was better.
Jacob deGrom, Noah Syndergaard, Marcus Stroman, Carlos Carrasco.
T-Walk.
The Mets got worse at pitcher. So the Mets have gotten worse as a hitting club.
Did we?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so we subtract Stroman going into the season, but it's now
And Syndergaard.
it's fine. But now it's DeGrom, Max Scherzer, Carrasco, T-Walk, and T. McGill.
Yeah, we got worse.
I'd say it's a wash.
Oh, no shot. We got
For
worse.
sure. I would say Carrasco's Carrasco, but we were expecting
Carrasco, wash.
We were expecting
Walker,
a 4.
Walker is Walker.
You're expecting
wash.
a 4. Sure.
McGill versus Stroman.
Sure.
We got a huge downgrade.
Yeah.
Expecting Noah Syndergaard at some point.
We were expecting him halfway through the season. So equate. I honestly, if we're expecting him halfway through the season, like last year, I would give him McGill's quality. We didn't know we were going to get.
No, we expected we were getting Noah Syndergaard.
No, we didn't. We didn't know what we were going to get after Tommy John, and a year and a half.
Okay,
off.
fine. So yeah, my thing is then we're going to go and we'll say that we definitely took a downgrade versus him versus Scherzer. I'm with you.
Right.
But the difference between Syndergaard and Scherzer is not as big of a chasm as the difference between McGill and Stroman.
Yeah.
So we got worse at pitcher. We got worse in the outfield versus what our expectation was going into that year, and then we underperformed. We choked in the second half. My thing is, going into this right now, Yes, we got Scherzer and we brought him in. I think Escobar's a good player. Canna, I think, will be a fine, serviceable guy for us to have out there. He knows how to win. We talk about the clutch hit percentage. He hits okay in the clutch.
I look at him as more of a consistency perspective versus Conforto. I just think Conforto's just always been way too up and down.
But we downgraded from what Conforto's best is. Canna has never been Conforto.
Yes.
Conforto is a better player than Canna. So no matter what, going into this season, I don't actually look at this and say that you could reasonably say that we have more hype separate from Scherzer. But my thing is our overall pitching staff is still light.
Yes.
Versus last year's team.
I'm a little more comfortable with Marte in center field than I am Nimmo, but it's fine.
I think that Marte versus Dom Smith balances the Mets lineup better because it creates a situation where we're replacing Dom Smith potential big bomber hitter with a guy who can actually lead off, steal bases, and score on a single from second base.
Yep.
We did not have that as much. So thus we had little parts of the game that if we weren't hitting home runs, we were in trouble. So when I look at those things, I go, cool, we have some upgrades. J.D. Davis is always undersold as a third baseman for us. He has been, will be. We have a guy coming in who was an all-star last year, but I don't necessarily think he's a massive difference from what we had with J.D. Davis. So when I'm looking at the true lineup, our biggest reasons why we have hope is Lindor's start to the year was abysmal. Pete Alonso's start to the year was abysmal. If both of those players play how they finished, the Mets are going to be a much better team. Because I would then expect Marte and Canna and like our squad to play better overall. And then we don't know what Robinson Cano is. We don't know anything else. But I'm standing by. We thought last year's team going in, the only team that I could look at was the Dodgers.
Yep. Well, when we were looking at the projections for the year, we were like, guys, this is ridiculous. The Braves shouldn't be above us, whatever.
No shot.
Braves ended up winning the World Series.
Yeah.
So
and
it's fine.
Part of that had to do with the collapse of the Mets.
Yes, 100%. We went into the All-Star break with a 6-game lead, and we were going to play 4 games against the Pirates. We could have run away with the division in August.
Yep.
But, collapse of the century.
So that's why I'm saying, if this is a collapse again, I don't know what happens.
And listen, that's why...
Because last year's team should have been a team
that
was
baseball is so
borderline
interesting.
competing for everything.
It's not the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills where hey, guys, we're probably going to win 10 games and be an excellent team.
Neither team.
Yeah.
Neither team in the Super Bowl.
I know. That's crazy.
So, again, listen. Of all of the teams, we know who's always going to be good in the in NFL. The MLB, you have just this dramatic shift of quality. And it's why I go back and I say I know it's because you have Jonathan Villar and Kevin Pillar starting too many games and not Khalil Lees and Brett Beatty's and Mark Vientos.
I mean, because that is a very real thing, too, is like the NBA, the NFL, you get the guy who's brand spanking new 24 years old coming in every single year and refreshing and adding a new...
The Grizzlies are great all of a sudden. Why? Zaire Williams, really good player, got dropped in the draft. Ja Morant.
Love him.
Superstar player, only 22, 23 years old.
Yep.
Like, their young players have changed the entire... Cleveland Cavaliers, they get the kid Mobley. Mobley comes in. Now all of a sudden their defense is incredible in the paint, and they have a good point guard.
Yep.
Magically, that team is now winning games. It's because young players are given as equal of an opportunity to start in the NBA, unless you're on the New York Knicks, of any of the sports. NFL, same thing. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. James Robinson was an undrafted rookie free agent who came in. They gave him the starting job and killed it. They then had a new coaching staff come in, and a guy gets drafted super high to be the guy in the end of the first round, and he ends up hurting himself, and that the same guy runs through the world on it again. The MLB doesn't have it, so you have this terribleness because you don't have good players playing. They're in the minors, wasting away.
We have this weird situation where like the NBA, you can have an NBA starting lineup that's all young guys, right?
Yes.
And it's you get a casual MLB starting lineup that's maybe all young guys, but they're all terrible, or maybe it's one or two young guys and then a bunch of really old guys that are on the way out of the, and just the quality of the game is so random almost.
Yeah, and it's bad. And it's bad because you have a consolidation at the top of all the best players, and then you have bottom teams who are trying to control guys as long as they can, and then they let them play for a couple of years, and then they trade them to the good teams.
Right. And I think if you're looking at it, like the NBA is a little bit easier to like quantify it. If you look at a good team, you need some veteran presence, but veteran presence from 5 starters can be 2 of the 5.
Yeah.
So if you're talking about that 60% of your starting team is young, up-and-coming guys. If you look at an MLB field, it's maybe 2 of the 9.
I look at, because you have the difference between the two sides, and I'll give I think the NFL is actually better because you can look at it 11 versus 9.
Sure.
Because you can look at it at just that side of the ball.
Yep.
Jamar Chase changed the entirety of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Right? One player, rookie, hadn't played football in over a year because he sat out with COVID. So the last time he played was the last time that he played with the quarterback who had been a rookie the year before. Jamar Chase is now the best receiver in the NFL. He's 22, 21.
But I mean, if you look at
he changed it.
Their whole receiving core is a bunch of young guys.
But I'm
right?
more
like,
saying that
you got one
young
spark
guy
plug,
came
absolutely.
in, and now coverages are shifted to him. You have multiple guys over there, but he's able to come in, and the rest of your team is great. But that one guy, if you had replaced him with the fact that you kept throwing the football to Tyler Boyd's not a bad player, but he's not Jamar Chase.
Yep.
The MLB's problem is they will play Tyler Boyd till he's 35.
Yep.
So that they don't have to bring up Jamar Chase until he's 23.
And I think you look at every team in those 2 other sports. They have at least 1 or 2 guys that you look at as like those are going to be our spark plugs.
Yeah.
Those are going to be our guys who are going to be with us for a while. If you look at a team like the Pirates, they don't have anybody. Like there's nobody like that. There's no like trying. Sure, the Orioles have Cedric Mullens, but other than that, not much supporting cast.
Yeah.
They're not bringing up the Adley Rushmans of the world who are going to be adding to that. And it's like, well, why?
And that's why I think it makes the game so much more dramatically bad. And I look at last year's Mets team, and it's the perfect dichotomy of the problem. You had 3 guys who were killing it in the minors. Killing it. And you refused to bring them up and see if they were better than the veteran always going to be a backup guy. And it's like the fact that in this league, that's always what it is. Meanwhile, you go to the NFL, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have this old veteran guy who's on our team. Dude gets cut for the rookie. Leonard Fournette got cut for James Robinson. The 7th overall pick in the draft a couple of years earlier was cut because they saw what they had in an undrafted free agent. They spent no draft picks, no money, and they cut the other guy. That does not happen in baseball. Baseball goes, no, we're just going to let this guy ride out and let him play till he's 36. Because we'd rather just pay him minimum than see this guy end up being great and have to pay that guy more money too soon. That makes such a worse sport. And just one team take advantage of the fact that everybody else is retarded. And this is why the CBA is going to be broken.
Yeah. And one final thing before we close this off, because Dennis is telling me that we're running for a while.
I think we've only been going for like 2 hours now.
Oh, that's it? I think with the way that the dynamic is with all these negotiations and with everyone's goal to be to get started before the season is, I think they're just going to kind of meet in the middle and not actually get the real like rocks done that are going to make the future of the game like actually good. It's just going to be like, hey, like, all right, fine, we'll make a couple of concessions so we can play this season and like go. I don't think it's actually going to be good for like the long term of the sport, and we're going to have this situation again.
Both sides need to be unhappy because they made the other side happy where they wanted to be happy.
Yeah.
And they had to give up something that they thought that was theirs to get what really they needed. Yep. And the players need to give up. They need to give up on the fact that they think that they've always negotiated super strong because it's hurting them. Because they they messed up a long time ago and they didn't know it.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're trying to put a Band-Aid on a gash that they've let get gangrenous.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, chop the leg off, man. Move on.
Well, and that's the tough decision. So we'll see how it all unfolds. It seems like it's going to be a slow-ish process. I know they're still trying to hopefully get things going on time, but it seems unlikely. So we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe again, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Ohtani to the moon.
To the moon.
Baseball lifestyle, it's my lifestyle.